Onitsha, a city that never sleeps, is known for its bustling main markets, chatter of traders, and the endless flow of people by the river Niger. Among its people lived a woman whose name was always on people's lips. Her name was Nkemdili, but very few called her that. To the market women, neighbors, and even passers-by, she was simply referred to as Oku Enu, a hot coal that never cooled. Nkemdili was a grandmother, yet she dressed as though she was competing with her daughter's age mates. She wore tight dresses that hugged her calves. When she walked into St. Mary's Catholic Church on Sundays, whispers filled the pews. Some said she looked good for her age. Others shook their heads and muttered, "This woman has refused to grow old." To Nkemdili, age was just a number. If you carry yourself like an old woman, you will die like an old woman, she often told her friends. Her jewelry sparkled, her nails were painted, and her laughter was always loud enough to draw attention. Her husband, Odogwu, was a quiet man, the kind who spoke only when necessary. He had worked hard all his life as a trader in Onitsha main market, providing for his family, training his children, and building a modest house in Fege. But in his old age, he found himself competing for relevance in his own home. His wife no longer listened to him. His words carried no weight. While Odogwu sat in the compound in the evenings, wearing his simple George wrapper and sipping palm wine, his wife would be outside the gate, posing with the young boys that rode flashy cars. To her, this was happiness, but to her husband, it was shame. Nkemdili's first grandchild had just turned 5, but she refused to accept the title of grandmother. To her, the word carried too much weight, too much finality. She wanted to remain relevant among the youths, to blend in with the Gen Z crowd. At weddings and parties in Onitsha, while her age mates sat under the canopy discussing their children and health, she would be on the dance floor, swaying her lips to the latest Afro beats, surrounded by boys young enough to be her sons. They called her Mama Gen Z. She smiled at the nickname, embracing it with pride. One evening, her husband tried to speak to her as she prepared to go out again. "Nkem, can't you see you are no longer a child? Why don't you stay home with me? Let the young ones enjoy themselves." She looked at him with mockery in her eyes. "Odogwu, enjoy yourself how? Sitting here like an old tortoise with palm wine? Please, don't disrupt my happiness. If you want a young girl, go and find one. As for me, I have my baby boys and they keep me ageless." Her words pierced his heart. For Nkemdili, marriage was no longer companionship. It was a cage she had broken out of. The more Nkemdili embraced her youthful lifestyle, the more irrelevant her husband became in the household. She no longer cooked for him. She no longer asked his opinion on family matters. In fact, when decisions had to be made concerning their children, she would say, "Leave Papa out of this. He doesn't understand this generation. His thinking is outdated." The respect once given to the man of the house disappeared. Even visitors noticed it. During family gatherings, she would talk over him, dismiss his views, and laugh at his caution. For Odogwu, the humiliation was unbearable, but he carried his pain quietly. He confided in no one, not even his brothers at the market. Instead, he found solace in reading news, hoping that one day Nkemdili would realize the emptiness of her ways. But Onitsha was watching. The neighbors, relatives, and market women saw how she treated her husband, and tongues wagged. "Chineke, this woman is fire," said Mama Chika, the tomato seller. "Fire that will burn her own house," replied another. If you wanted to know the latest gist in Onitsha, you didn't need to go far. Just pass through Ochanja Market or sit at a beer parlor along Upper Iweka Road. Nkemdili's name was always mentioned. "She is Oku Enu," the women gossiped. "Hot coal. If you touch her, you will burn." Some young men saw her as an opportunity. They flocked around her, enjoying her money and gifts. Others mocked her behind her back, saying she was chasing shadows, trying to outrun time. Her daughters bore the brunt of the gossip. Whenever suitors came to ask for their hands in marriage, elders would whisper, "Are you sure she won't take after her mother? That woman is Oku Enu, living like a Gen Z. Please be careful." Yet, the truth was far from that. Her daughters were nothing like her. They were respectful, God-fearing, and homely, but society judged them by their mother's character. Nkemdilim's first daughter, Ifunanya, had just finished her youth service when a young man from Oka came with his people to ask for her hand in marriage. Everything seemed perfect until the man's uncle leaned in and asked quietly, "Tell us, this girl's mother, is she not the one they call Oku Enu in Onitsha?" The question hung in the air like bad perfume. Ifunanya's heart sank. Her suitor looked uneasy. Back home, she confronted her mother. "Mama, do you know people are rejecting me because of you? They say you are Oku Enu, that you don't respect Papa, that you are living like a small girl." Instead of remorse, Nkemdili laughed. "Let them talk. People must talk. Whether you do good or bad, don't mind them. Face your life." But if Naya knew it wasn't that simple, reputation in Igbo land carried weight. A mother's name could either open doors or close them. And her mother was unknowingly shutting doors against her children. The whispers grew louder at men markets, at burials, and even at weddings. The same line followed her family. "Her mother is Oku Enu. Are you sure she won't take after her?" One Sunday afternoon, while neighbors sat outside enjoying the cool breeze, Nkemdili made a bold declaration that stunned everyone. She had just returned from a party, glittering with gold jewelry, her gown hugging her figure, and her nails painted blood red. As she trotted into the compound, Odogu sat quietly, sipping his palm wine. Their children and some relatives were around. Out of nowhere, she said, "Life is too short to waste on one old man. I have gotten myself a baby boy. If Papa here is not happy, let him go and get himself a baby girl. Happiness is free." Everyone froze. Her husband nearly choked on his drink. Relatives exchanged nervous glances while the neighbors listening through the fence gasped. Her statement spread through Onitsha like wildfire. At Mpo Junction, at Ochanja Market, even at the River Niger side, people repeated her words. She said she has gotten herself a baby boy and her husband should get himself a baby girl. To some, it was scandalous. To others, it was a joke. But to Odogu, it was betrayal. The respect he once commanded in the community was slowly evaporating. The time came for Nkemdilim's second daughter, Amaka, to give birth. As tradition demanded, the mother traveled to her daughter's home for Omugwo, the sacred duty of caring for her daughter and the newborn. But when news spread that Nkemdilim was going for Omugwo, tongues wagged, women whispered, men raised eyebrows. Eh? So it is this woman going for Omugwo? God forbid, let us keep watch. She might snatch her son-in-law. Even Amaka's mother-in-law was uneasy. She called her son aside. "My son, shine your eyes. That woman is not ordinary. They call her Oku Enu. Don't allow her to disgrace us." During the Omugwo, neighbors pretended to be bringing gifts, but their eyes were always sharp, waiting to catch Nkemdilim in suspicious behavior. To their surprise, she acted responsibly, cooking, bathing the baby and advising her daughter, but still the rumors never stopped. "She is pretending. Just wait. One day she will show her true color." Nkemdilim's name had become heavier than her actions. While their mother chased shadows of youth, her daughters blossomed into women of substance. Ifunanya, despite the gossip, got married to a calm and hardworking man who valued her character. Amaka too was blessed with a peaceful home. In their marriages, they honored their husbands, respected traditions, and built harmony. Their neighbors admired them and often wondered aloud, how did these girls come from that woman? They are so different. But their peace made Nkemdilim restless. She would visit them and say, "Why are you living like slaves? Marriage is not prison. You should enjoy yourself. Don't allow these men to cage you." Her daughters only smiled. They knew their mother's words were poison and they refused to drink from it. They respected her, but they did not follow her ways. The young boys who once praised Nkemdili's beauty began to mock her behind her back. When she walked through Upper Iweka, some would whisper, "See Mama Gen Z, she still thinks she is 20. At nightclubs, younger girls laughed at her heavy makeup and loud dressing. She is trying too hard, they said. But Nkemdili ignored them. She was determined to prove that age was powerless against her. She believed her body was her weapon, her charm and her strength. Yet, with every passing day, her face revealed tiny cracks of time, wrinkles she tried to hide with makeups, stiffness in her legs she blamed on stress, but pride blinded her. Through all the storms, Odogwu remained silent. He no longer argued with his wife. He no longer asked her to change. Instead, he retreated into reading news. One family gathering in Onitsha, the children had returned for Christmas and relatives filled the compound. Food, laughter and the sound of Ogene drum filled the air. But as always, Nkemdili found a way to draw attention to herself. She wore a short, glittering gown and high heels, strutting around like a fashion queen. Some younger women whispered, shaking their heads. In the middle of the gathering, her husband rose to give a short speech of gratitude to his family. But before he could finish, Nkemdili interrupted. "Papa, abeg, keep it short. You always talk like an old man. People want to eat, not hear long stories." All eyes turned to Odogwu. His face darkened, but he forced a smile and sat down. One elder shook his head. "This woman has finished her husband." Another added, "When a woman no longer respects her husband in public, her downfall is near." It was the breaking point. The family had seen her shame her husband countless times, but this one pierced their hearts. The new year came and Nkemdili suddenly fell ill. At first, she dismissed it as ordinary malaria, but the fever refused to go. Her legs became weak. Her once vibrant body slowed down. She avoided the mirror. Her reflection frightened her. The makeup no longer covered the wrinkles, and the wigs could not hide the thinning hair. The boys she once called baby boys stopped visiting. They had found younger and fresher companions. Her daughters rushed to care for her, bringing medicine and food. But even as they helped, they could not stop the whispers in Onitsha. "Ah, Oku Enu is sick. The fire is cooling down. Did we not say it? Beauty fades. Look at her now." It was as if the entire city was waiting for her to break. Bedridden, Nkemdili was forced to depend on the very man she had despised, her husband. Odogwu bathed her, fed her, and sat by her side through sleepless nights. One evening, as he wiped her forehead with a wet cloth, she whispered, "Papa, after all I did to you, you still take care of me. Why?" He looked at her gently. "Because marriage is not about convenience. It is about covenant. You forgot that, but I didn't." Tears rolled down her wrinkled cheeks. She felt the weight of her mistakes. The young boys had abandoned her. The gossips had moved on to fresh scandals. But the man she mocked remained by her side. As her strength faded, Nkemdili spent long hours reflecting. She remembered the days she mocked her husband, the times she embarrassed her children, and the shame she brought to her family. Her mind replayed her own words. "I have gotten myself a baby boy. Let my husband get a baby girl." Those words to her now sounded foolish, empty and childish. She realized that respect was more powerful than beauty and dignity outlived glamour. She remembered how people called her daughters blessed wives and wondered why she had not followed their path. Alone in her room, staring in a small mirror, she whispered to herself, "Nkemdili, the fire has gone out. All that remains is ash." The illness left her weak, and though she slowly recovered, she never regained her former strength. She no longer dyed her hair or chased after young boys. The high heels and short gowns were gone, replaced by simple wrappers. One day, sitting in the compound, she called her children and husband together. "My children, I have learned my lesson. Beauty does not last forever. Nobody stays strong and fit forever. What endures is respect, love, and family. Please forgive me." Her daughters embraced her. Her husband nodded silently, and peace slowly returned to the family. In Onitsha, the gossips found a new story, but the elders shook their heads with wisdom. Agbasia Egwu Olanuku, they said. After the dance, the legs must go back to rest. And so, the once fairy Oku Enu learned the truth of life, that the local coal, which burns brightest, eventually turns to cold ash.